Welcome to Arcade Couch, the best place to chill with your friends and get your gaming goodness every Monday. My name's Sean Blight, and joining me on the couch this week, Kieran Munchin.
Hey, it's me. Just hot off of a long and almost kind of frustrating gaming session with Dylan Blight. We're here though on the couch.
And we're going to talk a little bit about that later, but also here, Ashley Holby.
Hey, Dylan, excited to be here to talk about triangles.
Love triangles.
Triangles are pretty cool.
Triangles are pretty great. Love them. Billions and billions of triangles. Billions and billions and billions and billions.
All of the triangles.
Billions of triangles.
Triangle infinite.
I think a triangle is infinite anyway. Today on the show, we're going to talk about just basically a bunch of news, really. There's nothing. I feel like there was a lot that happened this week, but also like it was just like a few key things, and there wasn't like a lot of small things.
Correct.
If that makes sense. Yeah. It was like, hey, Tony Hawk was announced. Hey, Epic Unreal unveiled Unreal Engine 5. There was these key sorts of things. There was a state of play. Listen to Plaid if you want to hear more about that, because that's kind of going to be covered there, because it's just all about Ghost of Tsushima. Whatever. Anyway. And we're going to talk a little bit about the game that me and Kieran have started playing together, which is Halo. Hey, is that Beyonce's song? I don't know how it goes. I know she's got a song called Halo.
Oh,
my Halo,
baby, I can see your Halo.
That's it. Yeah. Thank you. So first thing, let's jump into it. So the first, what's it called? Midnight. I don't know what are these things Jeff Keighley's calling them?
Summer Games Fest.
Yeah, it's called Summer Fest, but he's calling like each event something like Sunrise 1 or something. That's it. Yeah,
yes.
Sunrise. So this was teased, Sunrise 1. It's the first Jeff Keighley Summer Fest reveal. 2 a.m. in the fucking morning, I started up to watch this thing. And I wouldn't say I'm disappointed because I never got my hopes up. I wasn't like, this is going to be Batman. But at the same time, it was Tony Hawk. I'm like, that's cool. I'm going to sleep now. I'm fucking tired. Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 1+2 was revealed to be getting a remake. It's not a remaster. They've already remastered the game once and it got terrible reviews. It's been done by Vicarious Visions, who previously developed the Crash Bandicoot remake set of games. On the stream when it was announced, it had old Jeffy there talking to Tony Hawk himself and Jen O'Neill from Vicarious Visions, who talked about making the game, bringing back all the classic maps, bringing back all the key moves, but also changing some things to make the games kind of flow together better. Like they talked about how reverts weren't added till Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 2, but they're adding them into 1, so it kind of just makes the whole package work and flow better together. You're going to be able to play it single player, co-op, split screen, and online. It's going to run at 60 frames per second in 4K on the applicable systems, which is your Pro, PS4 Pro and your Series X, obviously. And then you're also going to have Creator Park, which kind of tweaked. Like in the original Creator Park, it was like you could stick down certain things. In this one, it's going to kind of let you scope things. So you could like scope a rail, so you could twist it sideways and like make it go left around something. It's all nifty features there to expand upon. Then you'll obviously be able to upload those and play those with your friends and whatever. And overall, it seems like the majority, if not all the soundtrack is here, which is exciting.
It's
Kieran,
important.
We've previously talked about this. Didn't you predict this was going to be a thing?
I've predicted this, I think, the last 2 or 3 times we've done predictions. Let's be perfectly honest.
Yeah, so now it's actually here.
I'm so happy the Vicarious Visions are doing this. I think they did such a fantastic job with the Crash Bandicoot remasters. And it's interesting with talking about reverts and adding reverts to Tony Hawk 1, so the package is the same for both games. It's very similar for Crash Bandicoot, how they kind of made the jumping the same as Crash Bandicoot 3, but then that kind of messed up Crash Bandicoot 1 and 2. But I like the idea of them kind of making it conform and making it one kind of streamlined package. If you haven't seen it, there is some actually pretty in-depth gameplay on Jablinski Games. That's Jack Black's gaming channel. On the day it released, on the day it was announced, they had a video up with Tony Hawk, and that looked really good. Like it looked really solid. I thought the game looked fantastic. It looks like Tony Hawk. I'm excited to play and get into it. Even just like the adaptations or changing it up, like even just like the classic warehouse that they were playing through. still looked fantastic, and it's something I'm excited to go back to. I think them adding, onto that game things that they've learned from the past, ignoring some of their previous mistakes that everybody hated. I think it's a really good time, especially doing 1 and 2 together. Like, honestly, I think they probably... Well, I don't know. Do you think they could have technically just done 1 by themselves? But I don't think they're that large a game anymore to be considered a solo kind of package anymore.
I think you could have remade 1 solely, but you would have had to sell it for, obviously... cheap price.
Yeah,
I think
cheaper.
this is like 55 retail or something anyway. Like, it's not a full price thing.
Mm-hmm.
The interesting thing is they were like, just 1 and 2. We won't go to 3. Like, but even though a lot of people consider a lot of people consider 3 the best, or at least 2 and 3 are the ones that most people played. Even though everyone loves 1, but like 2 and 3 that obviously stepped up out of the reverts and whatever else. So it's interesting that they just did 1 and 2, but not 3. Also, my thing was like, this is cool, and I'm definitely going to play it, and I'm excited for this because I played 1 and 2 the most, actually. I know everyone loves 3, but I barely played 3 for whatever reason. I think I just got sick of them because I remember when I was playing 1 and 2, I was also playing like Matt Hoffman's BMX and all these sorts of games, SSXs and stuff. I think I think the year after that, I got 3, and I was kind of just sick of playing the type of game, like the sports type of game.
There was not heaps of movement or difference between these titles, especially that PS1 era where they just kind of kept iterating on the game. Iterating the game, like just going through and just pretty much the same engine, just tweaking it here and there, or adding stuff and moving forward with it. I think it's really fine for them to, for me, I think it's perfect to release 1 and 2 together. They can then go back and go grab Tony Hawk's Underground 1 and 2.
I was about to say, when are we going to bring up the fact we just all want Underground?
Just redo Underground for me. And I will be, and maybe even American Wasteland if you want to toss that in there at the same time. And then I'll be really happy. But as with that point of they've went and made sure they've got most of that soundtrack, I think that's just as important as remastering the game and getting the game right. Because I think for so many people, that soundtrack introduced them to a lot of different types of music. And I think a lot of people's early kind of music taste
was molded by this. But there's an interesting point about that, which I find quite funny, because when this game first came out, it influenced a lot of people to start listening to certain bands and liking certain type of rock and punk music that was kind of included in this. And now it's not going to be doing that anymore. It's not going to be introducing you to music or anything. The game's now going to become this like soft, pillowy nostalgia trip instead of like a brand new introduction to heaps of different things you've never seen before. So I find that funny. I know it's a remake, so that kind of makes sense, but it's just interesting on that platform. The only other thing I think watching the gameplay solved this for me, because obviously the originals were just very, I think arcade-y. Because you'd be slamming all the buttons and they didn't run at 60 back then, obviously. A lot of it was just hard to keep up with, and it was just very janky. Your character would suddenly just be switching between certain moves, like if he was doing like stuff in the bowl or something like that, and you'd be like slamming buttons. You wouldn't realistically see your character move from one position to another as they move the board around between like a melon and whatever the fuck else. And at least in this one, it seems, because it's going to be running at 60, you get it. I feel like you might not be able to do as much arcadic shit somewhat, because it actually seems to be having the characters go through the motion of turning the board fully, whereas in the original they just kind of like snap to positions. You know what I mean?
Yes, yeah, they kind of jump between them. It's almost like they've taken pictures of the skaters doing these moves, and then you kind of just transition through the almost pictures jumping between the positions for it looking.
Yes.
The other thing is, do you think Vicarious Visions is working on releasing this in September, but then also making sure they have an update or having it prepared for next gen consoles at all? No.
I reckon. Well, it doesn't matter, because like you'll be able to play it on next gen. It's fine. But honestly, it's a remake. It's already running at 60 and 4K on our current consoles. What more is there really to get out of it? You know what I mean?
I just think it's more so people don't have to feel the need that maybe they buy this game and then maybe they might feel like they only have a month with it because if they
but it's playable on next gen.
Yeah, that's okay. Yeah, that's fair.
That's backwards compatibility, so you're not losing the game. And that's the other thing with any of the smart delivery stuff. It's like if you buy an Xbox One game, the disc will play in your Series X, but the smart delivery guarantees that the digital edition will give you the better version anyway. But it doesn't matter what you buy now. All of it's supposed to play on next
backwards
gen.
compatibility. Yeah,
backwards compatibility. So it's like not something you should really have to worry about. It's early September anyway. Like the consoles are probably going to come out November.
Yeah,
at the earliest, late October is at the earliest. I feel so. Shouldn't be something to worry about. But I have pre-ordered the special edition with the skateboard, so I'm set. I've got the $30 or whatever, $50 I had to
You're
put down to
you're gonna buy it in eBay, rip it open, and ride that skateboard down the street back to your house so you can install it on your PlayStation.
See this. This is one of these things where I don't feel like this is a board that I would just want to keep in, like put on a wall or
put on a wall somewhere.
Like, I don't want to wreck it by actually.
Is it just the board? It's not like like trucks and wheels.
No,
and
it's just the board.
It's just the board. That's fine. I think that's good. I actually like it's just being just the board.
Nope, you need to try and get it right at home.
Nah. You don't know how easy it is to wreck something.
You probably take it to a skate shop and they look at it and go, "Nah, you don't want to put stuff on this. No way."
I'll start a Twitter challenge, where I can like challenge people who used to skate that I know used to skate, like fucking Ryan from the Pop Cultures, where you have to land a kickflip in a video or some shit like that.
Do a kickflip.
Do a kickflip challenge. Yeah,
do a kickflip challenge.
Yeah, that should be a thing. We'll see how we go. You're all excited for Tony Hawk's? All right, I'll do one in real life, motherfuckers. See how we go. So you can break their bone first. It's fine.
So you've got enough isolation time
Ash,
to learn how to
do
it.
Do you care about Tony Hawk's?
I mean, I did play Tony Hawk Pro Skater 2 back in the day. I mean, if it's good, then we'll have to wait and see. Obviously, we've been hurt before with Tony Hawk, the more recent Tony Hawk games.
Tony Hawk.
The HD version on the PS3 wasn't very well received from memory, was it?
This is a remake, though. That's the clarity.
And then 5 was not good either. So, hopefully they do a good job. I think Vicarious Visions. They're coming off, obviously, Crash Bandicoot, where they did a very good, faithful adaptation and modernized it. So they can do a similar thing here. And that kind of makes... If they do a good enough job, then I think we'll be talking about them the same way we talk about Blue Point. We'll want them to be making old versions of stuff we love.
What a cool thing for Vicarious Visions to do. And this would be in the remake thing. But get some of the artists on the soundtrack and put some of their newer music in at the same time. And just to kind of... So you feel that difference of age and growing up.
People will complain.
No.
They're shit now. Put their good music on.
We don't want their new. We don't want their new stuff. We want their old stuff.
Yeah. Can't take that.
It's like when you go to certain bands' concerts. It's like play the old stuff.
Yep.
Stop promoting your new record.
Free bird.
Yep.
Marigold.
Marigold.
Wow.
Oh, poor Dave Grohl.
Yeah.
So talking about remakes, there's another one on the way that it got semi-announced, although the proper trailer's coming later this week apparently. So
you mean we've got advanced news?
Advanced news, yeah, fuck yeah. Fresh Start writes, Mafia Trilogy was announced overnight, but it looks like the release dates as well as screenshots from Mafia and Mafia 2 have been leaked by the Microsoft Store. Side note, Microsoft Store is a piece of shit and I hate it. So with at least the first Mafia game being a complete remake for current consoles, the Microsoft Store listing said that Mafia Definitive Edition is, quote, faithfully recreated with expanded story, gameplay, and original score. This is the Mafia you remembered, and so much more. The listing suggested that the game will release on August 28th for PS4, Xbox One, and PC. Interestingly, Mafia 2 looks like it'll be releasing sooner, on May 20th. which is when the full reveal is set to take place. And they do have a bunch of screenshots in here that they grabbed off the Microsoft Store. So I've talked about this on one podcast. I can never remember where I talked about stuff.
You've talked about it here.
Fucking who? I could have talked to. I honestly, the way my life is, I could have a conversation in private and be like, you know how on the podcast I said like, that was like a private conversation. I'm like, what was it though? Like wasn't all this stuff thing? So no, not anymore. Not the way the world works now. I really like the second one. I really like the third one. I've never played the first one though, so a full remake of the first one highly grabs my attention because I'm like, fuck yes, I can finally go back and finish off the trilogy of games because I really liked both the other ones. In fact, I know a lot of people will talk really well about the second one, and the second one's great, but I'm also like a weird supporter of the third one. Even though I understand all the complaints people have about it, yes, the gameplay gets sort of repetitive, but I just really enjoyed the story and characters so much, and I will stick up for that game on that aspect as much. I'm not saying it's like 10 out of 10, but I just very much enjoyed the character and story and the setting of that and the themes they play with in that story quite interesting. But the other thing with that game is it's set, after Vietnam War. Like it is Mafia, but it's not. The first two games were like proper, like The Godfather, fucking Mafia times.
Mafia 1 starts with like a mission in like Italy in the war. Like you actually play like almost like a Call of Duty-esque level in the first game.
Really?
Yeah, because that's where you could kind of it's where your character starts. Where I can remember his surname, I can remember his first name, but he's in the third one as well. Gino Scaletta? No, I can't remember. But I think the first and the second are a lot alike.
They are. They have a lot more common characters.
The third is like the kind of the outlier where first and the second is very much Godfather, very much normal Mafia as you would imagine the Mafia, where the third one kind of steps away from that and takes you into a different kind of underworld and of mobsters, especially in the setting of New Orleans.
Yeah, so the first game came out. I was trying to find some dates for here. Some Wikipedia's to help me tell people. So Mafia 1 was called Mafia: The City of Lost Heaven. That was the full title. And it came out in 2002 for the PS2 and Xbox. In 2004. So it was ported 2 years later from PC to the consoles. And the game's main character was called Tommy Angelo. And it was set during the 1930s. The second game was also the other interesting thing with all of this was that the first game was published by Gathering of Developers, who I don't know what else they've done. But the second game is when 2K came aboard. And 2K developed it in-house and then published it. And then the same was said for the third because they got the IP. So this is when 2K publishes this remake, it'll be the first time that 2K is like been involved with remaking and publishing the first game. The second game came out in 2010 for PS3, Xbox 360, and PC. It was simply called Mafia 2, and it is set in Empire Bay, which is basically New York City, and you play as Vito Scaletta. Is the
Vito,
character.
that's it. Little damn
Vito.
dog.
Yeah, and that's set in 50s, like proper like 1950s.
Because that's one of my favorite
Mafia
things
time.
is that his story is very interesting, considering that it carries on into Mafia 3. I think it's very cool that they do that in such a time.
Yeah, Mafia 3 has him in it, and I like the way they use him. I know a lot of people got annoyed that like the main character was kind of this side character that you can kind of treat like shit as the new main character, and people got annoyed about that. But I was like, well, if that's what you do, if you have such high respect for him, why don't you just like you don't need to treat him like that way? I don't know. Like you do get a fair amount of change in that game. So and then Mafia 3 was released in 2016 for PS4, Xbox One, and PC. And the main character's name was, so we can get him all, Lincoln Clay. That's who it was.
Lincoln
and that one's
Clay.
set in 1968. So
it's interesting. I think it would be interesting if they tweak Mafia 3 in any way.
That's what I'm most interested about. Like, what
if they fix up the gameplay loop a little bit, that game gets even better. Because I've always thought that honestly, when playing Mafia 3, I was like, you know what? If this was a more linear single player game, I probably would have loved it.
Probably would. People would have loved it a lot more.
People would have loved it
if it
was. Yeah, because the documentary style kind of interviews and stuff going alongside the story were fantastic. It was very good.
Music's also fucking great.
Yeah, it was just bogged down in these kind of side missions that you kind of...
On that, I'll say yes, some of the main missions are like repetitive and whatever. However, it was also that whole thing that people complain about with The Witcher and like Assassin's Creed Odyssey, where there's like a lot of side quests, nowhere near as many as The Witcher or Assassin's Creed though, but there are a lot of side quests, and people get that whole over-encumbered feeling where they start clearing the map and they wear themselves out when they could have just headed straight for the next campaign mission. It's not like it's an RPG where they had to like farm up to do the next mission or something. You can just go ham to ham and go through the story, because I played through the game twice. So I played through it once.
Aren't you missing out though with like the gang stuff and taking over areas and stuff like that?
Yeah, but if you only care about pretty much direct Link and Clay storyline, you can go ham through the story and you won't meet all the side characters and you won't get all the side stories, some of which are really cool. But that's the same for The Witcher. You know, like you'll miss out on a lot of cool stuff if you don't fuck around with the side stuff. And when I played through the game the second time for the platinum, played through it again, I think it took me like 6 hours. Like I just went ham on the campaign missions. I didn't need to get sidetracked because I'd done it all, and I did it in one day. I think I did it in like 6 hours one day. I think something along that. So the game's not actually long when you just golden path your way through. My other fun fact for Mafia 2 is that back when that game was announced, they had a competition. I don't know if it was. I think 2K did it in partner with someone else. I can't remember who exactly though. But they had this, they had a whole bunch of gameplay footage, and the competition was to try and cut together a trailer that they then used as an official trailer for it. I didn't win it, disappointingly, but I did spend a lot of time actually fucking around and trying to edit together this cool trailer of Mafia 2. And I also think that's why I got so hyped and attached to Mafia 2, because I spent like probably 5 to 6 hours trying to edit this fucking thing that I thought was really cool. Didn't win, but then by the time the game came out, I was already like so invested in this game, pretty much.
That it was gonna succeed either way for you.
Yeah, I was probably gonna like it either way, because I'd watched so much on it and read so much up about it and whatever else at the time, and yeah, I mean I really enjoy it. I know a lot of them get mediocre reviews, so I would say this is really cool. I don't know why the fuck they're gonna, if they do shadow drop Mafia 2 on the 20th. Interesting choice to release.
That's weird that they're releasing the second game out of the 3, unless they're like, this is the one we're most polished and we both like kind of
I guess
together.
So I guess from people may like the second one the most. Maybe that's the going thing.
Also true. The second one's probably where a lot of people jumped in on the series.
Yeah, and that's where I jumped in. So
yeah, and probably people, as you've already said, have a connection with Vito as the main character. So they to jump into that and play that first.
Yeah, I will say if people are like, oh yeah, like if 2 or 3 connected, what the fuck does 1 have to do with anything? The main character from 1 does appear in the second one in a very small role, but he's nowhere near as connected as the main character from 2 is the 3, because the main character in 2 is literally one of your
confidants or side lieutenants,
like lieutenants. Yeah, he's one of your lieutenants in the third one when you become the boss of this city, basically. And the main character from 1 is basically an old man by the time you get to number 2. And I won't spoil what happens to him because people may play and want to know themselves. But he's in it. Like they are all connected, just not like straight up same character carries over. Ash, do you reckon? What do you reckon? All these remakes, remasters, what have happened? Mafia, Mafia? You love the Mafia?
No, I've never played a Mafia game. So
interesting.
I think the interesting thing here is, how are they releasing this? Like, is it going to be a whole bundle that they're releasing in one go, and you just pay, and then you get part 1 and part 3 later?
Maybe
from such classics as the Master Chief Collection and how well that's releasing separately, they're like, man, let's do that.
Let's copy that strategy. That works.
I guess
people love this episodic content.
Well, no, because if they got, like, it wouldn't be exactly the same, because they would all hit their dates, presumably, or hopefully. But I guess they would have, if it does shadow drop, they would be like, hey, you can buy Mafia 2 for $30, or you can prepay for all of them now, and it works out 20% cheaper to just buy the package where you get the other two later kind of thing, is how I would presume they will do it. Yeah.
It'd be cool even if they did
Or they're not going to do anything with Mafia 3 and they're just going to throw it in.
I mean, that's actually
as is.
A very
that
likely.
Is the most likely.
That is the most likely. Yes.
With I'm assuming there was DLC or something.
Yes, there was DLC. Yes. You're probably on the money with that, I would say.
That's kind of sad if they I guess they would do it, but at the same time, I'm like, oh, okay.
It's only a couple years old, though.
It's only a couple years old, but it'd be nice. It'd be nice even if they just went over and just with a.
Although Persona 5's a couple years old, and they completely fix that.
Yeah, like that game is fucking amazing with Royal.
You finished that yet?
Yeah. I'm making my way through the last palace of the main content, and then I've still got all of the DLC. Oh, I don't like these air quotation marks where I hate you guys so much. There's so much where I say things and you know the truth, and I don't know the truth.
But I will. I'm keen to find out more for this next week when we actually do find out more what's happening.
Yeah,
I don't like. It's weird timing also because I do have there's other stuff kind of coming out soonish, and these are all 3 big open world games, so it's just an odd time.
I think to be fair, one's a lot shorter. One is one of the. I can't remember if it was 1 or 2 that the comment was that it was a bit like LA Noire, where the world itself's kind of dead except for the missions you're going.
That. 2's like that.
Yeah. So there's not as much stuff to get distracted by in the first 2 then.
No, not as much, but 3 is as we talked about, lots of cycles.
And to be fair, when they were probably planning to release this now, it was pretty bare.
Probably,
but,
yeah.
It
also true. Also true.
Everything got moved, yeah. Either way. Another game that got announced this week, not a remake, but a sequel for something that people have been waiting some time for, was Paper Mario. So this one is interesting because it just got announced, out of nowhere.
Super weird, and the trailer's kind of weird.
No, I love it. Get the hell out of here. So, Press Start writes, Nintendo's just stealth-dropped an announcement for a brand new Paper Mario game. It's called Paper Mario the Origami King, and it's coming to Nintendo Switch on July 17th. The game sees Mario and a brand new partner called Olivia as they team up with unlikely characters such as Bowser and Toad to battle evil folded soldiers. In the game, Mario has a 1,000-fold arm ability, which allows him to solve puzzles as well as in battle. The game will feature a new dynamic combat system, but it appears as though it will be turn-based just like the previous Paper Mario games. So the trailer is weird at the start because Peach comes out and she's brainwashed or some shit. I don't know, but she basically says, "Get the hell out of here, Mario," and drops him to his death. It's some intense shit. And then from there out,
it's creepy.
It is creepy.
It's creepy as watching that start bit. It's what is going on? What is this?
From then out, though, I do like the way they similar to how Yoshi, they've used the themes cool where you can pull threads to reveal stuff and whatever else. This game's doing, as they talked about there, where you can pull stuff like pages to basically reveal stuff or build upon stuff and whatever else. And they don't fully explain the combat system, but in the press release I got, where I did write a news story, but didn't publish it because fucking Squarespace fucking website was fucking me over yesterday. Everything was fucking me over yesterday. Don't even get me started. Everything was just breaking. I was ready to.
Thanks Squarespace for being great though for everything else.
For everything out the window. The gameplay that in the press release, the Nintendo press release, they explained that it's like a puzzle because the enemies are basically on this circle platform, and then it sounds like they'll be attacking you on a turn-based structure or whatever. And then you need to try and kill them as fast as possible and as swiftly as possible, which means if you do the puzzle right and you can line up all the enemies in a row, then you obviously can kind of take them all out in one foul swoop, and that's the best way to go about it. But also the reveal trailer doesn't really explain or show the combat too well, although there was an unlisted 19-second video of gameplay on the Nintendo Japan YouTube account that someone found on Twitter. And I was like, why is it 19 seconds unlisted? But I looked at it. Obviously, it's in Japanese, so I can't really understand what's happening or the text on screen, but it just shows stuff happening. Anyway, I think this looks cool.
It was just the spoilers. It's fine.
Maybe. Who knows?
Major spoilers. Major explanation about who the Origami King really is.
I think this looks cool, but it is coming out on the same day as Ghost of Tsushima. So
yeah, that's a bit of a.
I mean, if you don't have a PlayStation 4, then this is the game for you.
Yeah, I mean, but I'm not going to say that like Ghost of Tsushima is as big as like other games where everyone's just playing them. Like it's not as massive as something like possibly The Last of Us or Cyberpunk or whatever, because it's a new IP and it's more like a PlayStation thing. But
They're not
definitely
as big a studio, yeah.
Yeah, there's going to be some people who are having to pick, who have all the platforms or whatever else. And if I'm having to pick on that day,
that's Ghost.
I'm going to be picking
after
Ghost,
what the Ghost of Tsushima showed in State of Play, I think you have to pick Ghost. Really, like the other thing. Can I ask what was the Metroid bit at the end? Is that some kind of teaser about a Metroid game?
Yeah, I feel like it was maybe a tease. Lots of people on the internet are going ham over the possibility of that being a tease.
Because it was like it was too long to just be a joke.
Yeah,
like it was like 20 seconds.
I feel like
they
if
like
they
included different characters from different things before. Like you can be Link in Super Mario Maker.
Not necessarily.
Not like this. Not focused on.
I'm sure
a trailer.
there'll be some sort of in jokes. Yeah.
But I mean, if they come out in July, and because that's when apparently they're going to do their next direct. If they come out in July and do one, and they show you a trailer for Metroid Prime 4 or whatever, then it's like that's what that was.
Metroid Prime Origami.
Or you have to finish Paper Mario to unlock the Metroid Prime 4 trailer.
Origami Killer is Metroid Prime. No.
Wow. Samus.
It was Samus all
Samus. There you go.
Heavy Rain, Metroid Prime, Paper Mario crossover. So you go.
So the big thing of the week was, there's no way. Yeah, it was the big thing of the week. So Epic, during another Jeff Keighley stream, Sunset 2, I suppose is what it was. I don't really know if it counted.
Appreciate the time slot of this one. A little bit easier, right? It was like 12 o'clock our time.
No, it was 1.
Was it 1?
Yeah, it was 1. It was 1 hour earlier. But
the other one was 2 o'clock. Yeah, one is easier than 2 o'clock.
1 is a lot easier than 2, so I do give points for that. 1 is like kind of fine because it's usually when I'm kind of probably going to sleep, so I can just extend it. Like 2 is like I'm usually asleep, so it's too much extending. Anyway, the second thing was teased, and everyone's getting hyped because Jeff was on Twitter saying it was one of the most important things of this whole thing, and he wasn't wrong. However, a lot of people got annoyed at the same time because it wasn't a game reveal. But what was revealed was Epic got on there and revealed Unreal Engine 5, which from a games development / industry standpoint is massive because the Unreal Engine is one of the, if not the most used universal game engine that's used for many, many games on all platforms. And as I pointed out in the thing, it's also used for many other things, including it's the technology that helped them make The Mandalorian. Like that was a game engine that was powering the VR technology that they were using for all that sort of stuff and whatever else. So they're very proud of it over there. Tim Sweeney's sitting there in his room with his fucking glow bowl on the floor for some reason behind him, and whatever was going on with that. What a weirdo. So what they showed was a tech demo, and the tech demo is what it is. It is a tech demo. It is not representative of a game that's actually in development at Unreal. They go over many sorts of things. So Kotaku writes, it was called The Lumen in the Land of Nanite. The demo isn't part of any game tendable for release, but Epic Games says that it is fully playable. The tech demo itself was captured at the back of an actual PS5 via HDMI. It means to show off the company's next game development engine, Unreal Engine 5, and specifically 2 new aspects of it, Lumen and Nanite. The first refers to the development tool's new lighting system, while the second is meant to create better detail. Tech demos aren't necessarily representative of true game graphics, since they don't often have to account for all the things other games normally have to go through. But back in 2012, Square Enix shared real-time demo called Agnes Philosophy, I think that's how it's called, that ended up looking much better than any of the actual games that immediately followed it. Still, the tech demo is an interesting look at the type of things that might be possible on PS5. So, I don't know, let's just start. Like, what do you think of it, Kieran? What do you think of the whole thing overall? Like, was you impressed? Was you wowed? Was you like, yeah, cool, don't care? Like, what was
I think it was a good display of the potential for the engine itself and like how it goes in future. I think it's a very big positive for PlayStation. I think this indirectly helps PlayStation a lot, considering they've had a little bit of a weird start to the unveiling of the next generation this year with everything that happened earlier in the year. And I think this kind of on the back of, I think people have attached this to gameplay like even though it's a tech demo for Unreal Engine, they've kind of, Microsoft's had a crappy week last week about, freaking Assassin's Creed gameplay in general. And now the PlayStation this week have had a fucking massive week where they've shown what people perceive as gameplay, or what you could see as gameplay in this tech demo. It was interesting that, Epic Games has come out and said, the CEO of Epic Games came out and said, well, this was not possible without the SSD from the PlayStation 5 and the proprietary tech. There we go.
Got him.
Tech of the of SSD for the PlayStation. And I'm interested to find out exactly what that proprietary tech is for it. It's not going to be massive. It just means probably the transferring of data is probably much better compared to anything, that they've used. It's just very interesting that Sony's got into it and it's found something so unique for it to enable it. I think the tech demo itself was really beautiful. I thought it looked really good. But at the same time, I think it's just, it's like, yeah, it's a tech demo though. How much time was spent polishing and making this tech demo as perfect as possible. I mean,
that's what you would do for a tech demo to try and impress people.
Exactly. It's like, well, this is what absolute perfection is with a team that's working solely just on this one kind of demo piece. So let's see how developers get their hands on it and how they use it to craft their games and make their dreams come true.
What do you think, Ash?
Yeah, it was very pretty. Obviously, it's very exciting because we all know the next generation doesn't really start until we get some tech demos. That's when it really begins. All this other stuff about toying about what's coming to the next gen of consoles, tech demos. That's the start of everything. Yeah, I mean, it looks really cool. Obviously, it's going to be a long while off before we actually see anything using Unreal Engine 5. It's not getting released till later this year, so it'll be a few
next year.
Later in 2021.
Like early to mid 2021, I think was like
which
the
means
rollout plan.
We won't see anything till halfway through the generation.
To like 2023, yes. I guess, or something probably.
Unless somebody uses it for like text adventure or something.
Yeah, well, I mean, people could probably knock out games in it. Like, people will start knocking out similar stuff to what we already have in Unreal Engine 4. But by the time people master the new tools and start giving stuff that really shows the potential of it, it won't be 2 years after that.
And
yes.
Also, there's also this case of it's going to be a brand new engine, even though it's, developing from Unreal Engine 4 to Unreal Engine 5. As soon as it gets like widely released, people are going to start finding issues with it, and it's going to take a while for people to integrate over from Unreal Engine 4 that they're so uncomfortable on.
Maybe
5.
In the few game developer people that I follow on Twitter, from their response to it and their rumblings, and some people like having the in knowledge a little bit, a lot of them were saying that they think it's actually pretty easy to just pick up and play if you're used to developing with Unreal 4.
Unreal? Okay, that's good.
That's what they were saying. Like, as someone who doesn't know fuck all, judging what other people saying, I'm gonna take their word and run with it on this one.
You would assume it would be similar to getting a new version of any kind of software.
Depends what sort of software it is.
Well, it's hard to say because pretty much everything's subscription based now. But back in the day, new version of Photoshop, it works pretty much the same as the old version of Photoshop.
Yeah. I mean, yes, for the most part, there have been a couple like major versions where you just
there's a couple of major changes, but
there's always like that one wacky thing that they've changed that they're like, this won't matter, and then a whole heap of devs are like, what the hell? What have you done? Why is this way? It's just the way it is with software. But if it is so close to the Unreal Engine 4, it's just got better. It's just it's got more tools and it's got more built into it. Then it should be an easy transition. Let's hope it's that.
Yeah.
I have also seen someone else, a developer on Twitter, point out that to make a full game as detailed on every single surface and level that this tech demo is would be just absolutely
Insane.
insane. So
Crazy.
don't expect that. But I mean, that's why it's a tech demo. And also the other interesting thing that we found out was that if GDC had of been on, apparently this was meant to be there, and that's where they was originally going to reveal this, and then people would have been able to actually play this via PS5 on the show floor at GDC. So to put that into perspective, GDC was supposed to happen late March. Yep.
Yeah.
And that would have been technically, like, if PlayStation still hadn't done anything, then the news cycle in an alternate reality would have been like our first hands-on with the first PS5. I mean, they probably would have been using the fucking DualSense controller, right? Surely.
Yeah, you would assume that people would have been playing PS5s at GDC.
Yeah.
It wouldn't be like a full-on reveal. I'm sure the box would have still been hidden.
Yeah, hidden.
They might have now revealed the DualSense there.
Yeah.
Like had a full-on talk.
No, well, they were. They
probably
already said. I'm pretty sure they already said they probably were going to reveal the DualSense there. So PlayStation would have revealed the DualSense at GDC. They would have had Mark Cerny do his talk about the specs at GDC, and they would have had Epic there with showing off and then showing Unreal Engine 5 on a PS5. So in a different reality, PlayStation's news cycle
would have been incredible.
Is pretty fucking good. Like what they had going, honestly. So it's funny because people are like, man, PlayStation's doing fuck all, but really it's like Sony's
they kind
plans
of put all their eggs in this one basket. yeah.
And now they're like, well, let's not
then
just
a Fox
rush.
game and took all the eggs. Yeah.
Yeah. So that was an interesting factoid about all that. And yeah, look, make sure to note this. As I just said, Unreal Engine 5 used on everything. So although, yes, this has been shown on a PS5 because it seems that Epic and PlayStation have sort of come to terms on something, which is quite funny considering Epic, especially Tim Sweeney's talk shit on PlayStation so much about the whole crossplay shit late last year, whenever that was. And now they're like, yeah, fuck yeah, PS5, great, love SSDs. Tim Sweeney's like, love them. Sleep on a bed at SSDs. That's my kind of thing.
Listen, the storage architecture of the PS5 is far ahead of anything you can buy on anything on PC for any amount of money right now.
Yeah, got the direct quote there. Got the direct quote.
Direct quote.
Yeah.
That quote was like, I was like, really?
Yeah,
I mean, I wanted to.
A lot of people are saying
it's
the same
optimized.
thing, so.
It's optimized for gaming, so why wouldn't it be better than anything that's currently on PC?
Yeah, I don't think that's hyperbole. From everything we've seen online, from anyone who's apparently seen or heard or got anything to do with the PS5, everyone just talks about the SSD like it's this godsend of design and how it's able to integrate with the game console. And all of that does seem to come down to the fact that it's like, this isn't an SSD designed to just be fast. It is an SSD designed to be fast specifically for video games.
Fair enough. It's fair enough.
It's like you get a really big engine, but then the PS4 or 5 is like a tuned engine.
Like, calm down. I don't need it to sound like a jet engine. I already got my PS4.
I think it'll be realistically, everybody's got to realize that Unreal Engine 5 is not going to be tuned that much that it'll only run with these PS5
fuck no.
SSDs. Like, it has to be usable for every single device. So yes, it's run this tech demo really well using because of the SSD, but it's, it's still going to be usable with everything.
Well, you go like that and you go, PC games need to catch up. PC.
You're really trying to hurt Kim's feelings over here.
No, but between now and 2021, they need to get... I'm sure they will, because that's just the nature of technology, that they will get to that level by the time
here's my hot take. I don't think
Unreal 5 comes out.
I don't think this is a hot take now. And I feel like it will be even less of a potential hot take by the time we get hands-on with these consoles. I feel like when the Xbox Series X and the PS5 are out, that the gap between PC gaming and console gaming will be the shortest it has ever been in
correct. That's
history.
I don't think that's a hot take.
No, neither do I. That's what I'm saying. I don't think it's a hot take.
I don't think that's a hot take at all. I just the other side of that coin is that how long does it remain that small gap before PC's like, all right, fuck it, let's do this thing.
I think it'll remain very short.
Everybody has to buy $1,000 hard drive.
Yeah, fuck no.
But that happens though. That happens even with
$10,000 hard drive.
It happens when technology produces, like, if this SSD is this good for PlayStation, PC manufacturers, once they can get their hands on this SSD, is going to be working out a way to make their own version of the same SSD, and everything moves forward with it. It's just using that understanding of how it works and moving everything to progress.
I think
unless they trademark everything.
Well, maybe the gap will remain short. I think, in my opinion, because of where we are, like technologically as just as humans, like the gap between lots of things is kind of caught up. Like, and by that I mean my phone. I'm not saying my phone's catching up to my PC, but the fact that you can say 10 years ago, look at your mobile phone, and now look at how small of a PC is in your hand. Yep. You know what I'm saying? Like technology gaps in overall are smaller.
I just think that PC is able to upgrade itself so much quicker and so much faster.
You wait until I'm like, hey, PlayStation. Yeah, Dylan. Fucking upgrade that RAM. Download it, eh? Yeah? Fucking...
That's how it works, right?
Yeah.
You just download the RAM.
Download the RAM.
Download the RAM.
Why haven't I done this before? Why didn't anybody tell me?
Download the RAM,
I
please.
hate you both so much. Download
my internet problems would be over.
You didn't see my tweet from earlier in the week there where I made a meme about that, where I tweeted out how much I'd fucking pissed off about my RAM breaking my computer when I installed it. And then in the response below, I wrote, like, I don't know why I fucking bothered buying something. I should have just downloaded it off the internet. Like,
I hate it so much.
So good. I think
I do think it.
Yeah, you go.
I do think it's good that PlayStation's obviously maneuvered themselves to be associated with this. Obviously,
they're loving it.
Yes, very much so. It's a really smart decision.
And it was pretty solid timing for this to come out, like a week after Inside Xbox, where maybe the games weren't necessarily the most graphically impressive. You know, so Sony's ahead without a game.
I mean, yeah, it's funny. They're ahead on
and this game that isn't even a game actually had gameplay in it. Crazy.
This is true.
There was did you miss the amount of points last week that we counted of gameplay? Thank you very much. There was
more timed gameplay in this tech demo than there was in that entire.
Yeah, I think this wins on Xbox. The time. The demo is like fucking 5 minutes. So I think though the key thing I think with Tim Sweeney saying about the SSD, I think that comes down to how we've talked about before, where PS5 first-party developers developing solely for the PS5 will take more advantage of the PlayStation's SSD because they're developing solely for that. And even though Unreal 5 is going to be cool for everyone, I think Tim Sweeney was saying, like, if you're using this and you're developing solo for the PS5, it's really great what you can do between Unreal 5 plus Sony's SSD. Yeah. Not to say that you couldn't make this demo for Xbox as well, because I don't see any reason this demo wouldn't work on Xbox.
They made this demo in Dreams.
Yeah, well, it's not the that is cool. I've seen it. It is cool, but like that's like when it's like copy pasting a painting and then you miss all the minuscule details that make it actually cool and whatever else. But no, I think this is. I think like obviously this would work for Xbox and PC. I think, but I think that was just more of an offhand comment from Sweeney saying to him to chuck out there to say I've been playing around, and between this and like thinking about the future, he obviously kind of put his foot down and said PlayStation is doing some cool shit, and that comment has gone around quite a lot. So I think not between them playing this and saying that this is coming through direct capture from a PS5, that did a lot of great press, but then also having Tim Sweeney be like, man, the SSD is fucking dope. That quote circulating Twitter, that has also just done PlayStation a lot of great press. And really, before even entering the next gen proper, PlayStation's already winning the same way, is jumping ahead the same way they did this gen, which is just riding off other coattails. Like, yeah, Destiny 2, we fucking love it. It's not first party, but we're going to promote it like it is, you know, like everyone buying on our console.
PlayStation's going in with the backing of arguably the biggest video game company in the world at the moment.
Yeah, so it seems, yeah. For sure, definitely. And by the way, in case y'all didn't miss the note, Fortnite's coming to PS5 and Xbox Series X. Yeah, can't wait to do it later. Day one.
Remaking Unreal Engine 5, right?
Fuck it. Yeah.
Other thing worth noting is they're carrying over the same business model they've had for Unreal Engine 4, where
isn't it better? It's even better, right?
They take 5% as long as it's making more than.
Isn't it like the first million? Isn't the first million like just they don't touch anything? The first million of gross profit is yours. Like they won't.
No, I think Yeah, retroactively as well. Anything that's made less than $1 million, they won't take any revenue from.
Yeah.
But I think it's $3,000 a quarter they were previously taking at least 5%, unless you were on Epic Game Store when it was bundled in with the rest of their cut off the Game Store. So,
yeah.
Cool. I mean, at least people have access to it straight away. It's obviously on the back end that the Epic will make their money back, so that's cool. Everyone will have access to Unreal.
That's also there's a reason that Unreal 4 is one of if not the most used game engine, and that's because of apparently it's one of the easiest to learn and use, but also the fact that it's just like from a standpoint of
Financial
monetization
yeah.
financially, that it's also
makes the most sense.
Yeah.
And also, if you're a PC gamer and you have access to the Epic Game Store, go get your copy of GTA 5. It broke the Epic Game Store.
I did, Ash. I did.
Yeah, you're gonna play it?
Oh no, fuck no.
We're gonna
maybe.
You're gonna get X pile of shame.
Maybe I honestly could now because I don't actually have it on PlayStation anymore. As I've said many times, I traded in my my copy, but I now own it.
Ko-fi.com/explosion. If you want to see Dylan play GTA 5.
No, I've got it for free. Why the fuck would I mean, if you want to help us out financially, I'm all for it. But
go financially, go make him feel bad about not playing it. So who plays it?
Maybe
GTA
I'll play
5.
It. Maybe I'll play it. Like maybe I'll finally play it, considering it came out like late. It came out like the same year as Last of Us, right?
Yes.
It
like
came out,
original.
yeah, it would have, the end of
the first release.
the cycle.
Yeah, because then it was like close, the re-release was close to the Last of Us Remaster time, I remember. So if I play it now, it'll be kind of memey because we're right at the end of the generation and Last of Us 2 is about to come out. So that
And you've just played The Last of Us again?
And I've just replayed The Last of Us. Yeah, so that's great. That's great. But yeah, Epic Games Store, good on you. Good on you, bro. All right, so there's only one thing I really want to talk about this week, which is what Karen was teasing at the start. So I have started my massive playthrough of the Halo series, the ultimate god of a game that
Beyonce only made one Halo.
Hey? Oh my god! Shut up! Fucking don't.
He's had that since the start of the
he's like
the song.
He's like, I'll stick that one in my back pocket and fucking save that for later. So I started playing through Halo. Me and Kieran were streaming it on twitch.tv/Explosion Network earlier today before recording this. That is a sad day if you're listening on Monday when this comes out. The first game, we got 3 chapters left, so next time we play it, we'll finish it. Depending on how long it is, I guess we'll start 2 straight after probably. But anyway, the goal is for me to play all of the Halo games in the lead up to Halo Infinite coming out at launch of Xbox Series X.
Maybe.
Maybe. They've said it, Ash.
No, maybe.
Like,
actually,
maybe
are you saying that they're liars?
I mean, we haven't seen anything about that game in...
It's
July, Ash.
July, Ashley.
12 months, yeah.
July, Ashley.
Fuck, I'm going to hit you over the head with a July fucking plank board in a minute. Jesus.
We would have, if E3 was going on, we would have seen it in June.
He's like,
E3's
Dylan,
not going on, so July.
I'm waiting for him to be like, there's only 11 months a year and I've never heard of one called July, so
No.
it ain't happening.
Julie?
Maybe. My takeaway from Halo so far, though, is that game's old. So it came out on the original Xbox, and it is quite weird to play because there's no run at all. Like that annoys me quite a bit. And the only gun that has 2 guns so far have had a zoom or a whatever you call it, like a
scope
of any sort or fashion, which is the pistol, weirdly, and then an actual sniper rifle. Every other gun in the game, you just kind of shoot like you're playing old school, like Doom or some shit like that, which is weird.
Watching you guys stream, I'm like, this is like very much like Wolfenstein or like the games of that era.
Yeah, old school.
Yeah, 100%. 100%.
Especially now, it probably even looks more like it. It's just a little bit more 3D.
And all the levels are just like a lot of repeated stuff, which in several different ways. It's like there'll be some levels where it's just that the levels are made to feel very epic and long because they have you driving these vehicles between locations, but it's literally just like drive through this very samey looking area, stop, kill a bunch of enemies, get back in the vehicle, drive somewhere else. It makes it feel like you're traversing a very long period of time, I guess. Especially back in the day, if I played it, it would have made it feel more epic, I'm sure. That was fine. The level with me here in last play, though, the one you was hinting at the start,
it was
too much.
It was already It was already like, and I love Halo as a series. Halo 1, Halo Combat Evolved is the one we're talking about. I've played this one the least. I think this is the least one just because of its age. And I just hadn't remembered. And it had already been, 4 or 5 hours of streaming. And
Was it to our fourth hour?
We didn't go fourth? I thought we were.
It was into our fourth. We didn't hit 5.
We went, okay.
We was
okay.
in 4, but we were
into our fourth. And just the level itself was like, okay, we're running up 5 levels, but each floor is the copied and pasted same floor.
Yep.
Just kind of rearranged a little tiny bit maybe here and there. And it all ends at the same elevator. And it was just like by like the 3rd floor, I was like, I thought I was in Groundhog Day. I thought we just kind of kept replaying the same section over and over and over again.
Yep.
And I was just wanting it to be done. It's really sad because it leads into a really interesting campaigns part of the game where there's a sizable cutscene and the game's kind of twist happens and kind of busted wide open what's happening. But it's just, it's one of those things, and it's just, you remark and looking back at it, it's like, okay, the original Xbox probably just didn't have the space on its disk or its memory to have so many different assets. So they built the assets they needed and just used them how they could. Yeah, I still love it. It's still Halo. It improves. As Dylan commented as we were playing it, I kept saying, I can't wait for this feature to be added in the next game.
you're like, this one's added in 2. This one's added in 3. This one's added in 3. This one's added in 2. Oh, damn. Fucking.
I'm like, we'll get there. It's fine. We're almost done with Halo 1.
Yeah,
so we'll get to Halo 2. And Halo 2 is where, like, the series kind of really picks up and everybody kind of loves the shit out of that game.
Yeah, because the other thing of the first one that I'm noticing is because everyone talks so high about the franchise and loves the story and Master Chief and whatever else. Master Chief in this game is just dumb.
The voice acting is kind of bad.
Yeah, so I'm definitely not aboard the Master Chief fan club thus far, and also the overall story is just very much like, aliens are bad, we should probably kill them, and then there's other aliens and they're bad, so probably kill them, and we're presuming the humans are good because they're the humans, and I don't really know why they were in this period of space or whatever. For all I know, we could be invading weird. And I'm actually part of the Empire. I don't actually know.
It's why it's like kind of and ahhing of, should we have played Halo Reach first, even though in kind of chronological order Halo Reach is like the 4th game that was released. It's still the prequel to this game. And so the events of that game lead into this one and explain so much about what's happening.
Yeah, but is it like a Rogue One thing where I'll appreciate it more playing it when it actually came out, and I'll get like the stuff it's hinting at, like knowing where it leads and whatever else.
Yes.
Because it's like I wouldn't tell anyone to watch Rogue One before Episode 4 if they've never seen A New Hope before. You know?
Yeah.
Like it doesn't have the same emotional attachment. The music is great, as everyone I'm sure knows. Halo has great soundtrack. My one negative complaint I have so far is that it's just, and this is again just old school kind of game design. The music will just start, and then it's like enemies spawn in, and the music just like da 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 da. Like it's like you fucking are about to do this epic fight, man, and then like you kill the last enemy, and the music's like da da da. There's no.
It doesn't lead off. It doesn't like kind of fade away.
The mixing of it amongst everything and the way it kicks in, it's just, it's very like, it's fucking epic shit happening, man. You fucking Halo.
Yeah. It's a real shame that
Halo.
the only place that listens to that music is inside the game.
It is. It's true. So you should come
It
to
is the
Twitch.tv
only place
/
you
Explosion
can't
Network next time we're streaming. It's the only place you can hear us streaming and playing.
Can't get it anywhere else. Don't try looking
else.
for it on Spotify. That somebody will show up at your house and tell you, don't look there. Just don't look. No. It doesn't exist.
I was going to say my other thing is I would be much more bored playing it by myself. So I'm
I'd
be like,
it's
oh
fine.
my god.
There was enough times where the game has friendly fire on, so we have equally killed each other and had stupid deaths. And there is, if you go to the Explosion Network Twitter, an Explosion Pod from a couple of days ago, there is a clip of Dylan punching me in the back of the head for no reason.
Love it.
But it's still a lot of fun, and I think looking back at it retroactively, it does make me appreciate how far games have come since this was made. Even just in terms of like level design, of just like levels now in gaming natively, you kind of know where the level is wanting you to go. the amount of time Dylan and I spent just freaking
my
lost,
God.
and that's even with me previously playing the game, it just lost. Just like, and then we worked out, okay, follow the arrows on the floor because they'll lead us there. And then it got to a point in the game where the arrows stopped leading us in the right direction. So it was like, where do we, okay, whatever. Okay, game.
Yeah. So Halo, 1 is, it's an old game and go into it knowing that. But I'm looking forward to finishing it and moving on to potentially better and brighter
Halo 2.
horizons.
So next time we stream it, it'll probably be, it's 3 missions left that we've got. And then we'll probably jump into Halo 2 as long as we haven't spent too long on those 3 missions. We'll probably jump straight into Halo 2 and go from there.
Catch up. Ready for Xbox's July event where they will show me Halo Infinite.
Infinite.
Because it's coming.
Endless.
It's endless. Yeah.
It's an endless series.
Another CG trailer. It's going to be great.
Gameplay.
Ashley Hobley, mate.
Gameplay. This week's question of
5 seconds of gameplay.
This week's question of the show is: do you think that there will be gameplay of Halo Infinite shown during July's Xbox Inside Xbox?
I have a hunch it's going to look exactly the same as all the other Halo gameplay. So,
yeah, I'm kind of glad if it does because then it's Halo. I'm glad. You know what? I'd be glad if it looks like the other Halo gameplay because it's still the same franchise. It's still the same franchise.
It's
so
actually
thank God.
Halo 5 footage. You won't be able to know the difference.
No, Ashley.
Because they haven't got all their triangles there.
We can talk about the triangles, eh?
So many triangles, apparently.
I
couldn't see the triangles, but they're there.
I love how they say, like, I saw people on Twitter just being like, what the fuck is a triangle? I'm like, oh my God. Like, it's a tech demo. They're explaining, like, from a developer standpoint. No, it's not a shape. It is. No, I'm not getting into it. Anyway, thank you for joining us this week on Arcade Couch. You can find us on Twitter, of course, by heading to explosionnetwork.com/Twitter. Go find Ash's Twitter handle and tweet at him and tell him how wrong he is about just everything this episode. And you can also let us know the answer to the question before about Halo by mail at explosionnetwork.com with the subject line Arcade Couch, or do it via the Twitters, however you want to go about it. Until next week, we will be playing some Halos and doing some Beyonce dances. We'll see you here, same time, same couch. Bye.
Bye.
Hey, don't forget you can subscribe to the show wherever you're currently listening, and you can drop a review if you can. Find more great shows like this and more content over at explosionnetwork.com. And please consider supporting us for as little as $1 over on our Ko-fi page by heading to explosionnetwork.com/support. Thanks for listening.